everybody. Doing this classic camcorder Let's Play style, and I'm talking classic, I'm talking vintage, because my roommate has my tripod at the moment. So we're using this camera, which is a flip video camera, stacked atop 4 books and a stool. Here pointed at my CRT television, and playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This is the Sega Saturn version, and I'm trying to illustrate a point here. And I don't know what point I'm trying to illustrate here, and I'm not certain that I'm going to come to the point that I'm trying to illustrate by doing this, but I thought this would be an interesting exercise to at least attempt to figure out what this point it is that I'm trying to illustrate, and then of course actually illustrate it in use. So what we are here in the Coliseum. I'm absurdly over-leveled, because that's what playing the Saturn version does to you. I'm on level 21 right now, because there's that catacomb or whatever, the little extra room between the marble gallery and the underground caves that has these enemies. They're called will-o-wisps that have like 9 hit power, or 9 health points, whatever that means, HP, and for killing them you get 90 experience points. And so early on, when you get there, you kill like 2 of them and you level. You go like a half dozen levels up in moments, in like 10 minutes of play, if that. Just getting through that one scene. So of course I did that, and I'm not going to turn down free experience points for the sake of not breaking the game. But anyway, here we are. At the end of this hallway is the shield rod. Now, I think the shield rod personally is my preferred weapon to use in the game, so I like to get it. Problem here is that this room is really annoying to pass through. And of course, all of these enemies are just kind of doing their idle animations waiting for me. And I only have 45 hearts, and I only have the throwing axes. And every time that I've tried, this is the second time I've tried to make this video, every time that I've wanted to make this video, I've had the thought I should go look up what the actual power-up that I want is, and what the name of that is, because I don't know the name of it. But it's the jars that you throw on the ground and they make fire. I think they especially would come in handy here. Now, I'm going to demonstrate why this room is kind of annoying to get through here in a moment. And really, I can actually just point it out. These guys are fine. This guy is kind of a known enemy. It's these guys who are the issue there, because they just, they have their muskets. Bone musket is their name. And they shoot at you, which is, as they're wont to do. And the other thing is they shoot from off-screen sometimes, and so you can't necessarily predict when they're winding up for stuff. Armor Lord can make fire that goes goes across like basically to the end of the ground. Now, if I die here, I'm just going to let him kill me. Okay, he'll just knock me almost out of the room. Okay. Now he's been knocked out of the room, and honestly at this point, I think we should cut our losses, because I'm not going to be able to finish that with these throwing axes. Now, I want my jars. I don't know where to get the jars. I don't think you can get the jars anywhere in the catacombs, and I'm also not going to save, because it might actually be better for me to die here. Even though, sometimes, obviously, you would think counterintuitively, if I'm thinking of this from the perspective of, like, Alucard is an ally of mine in traversing this, or that I'm helping him, in my controlling of him, and I'm literally guiding him through this. I obviously don't want him to die, because he's he's the protagonist, and I support him in his mission, right, as a protagonist. But in kind of the meta game, it might be better for him to die to some extent. Now, I also want to confess here. Uh-oh. This room is really interesting. This may best exemplify what it is I love about this game, and about a couple of really, I think I find myself in the mid-1990s. It is mid to late 1990s. Really enamored with this just the sheer amount of effort maybe put into a lot of my favorite pieces of art from that time. I keep thinking about it from this perspective of every decision that is made in the creation of any work of, and I am going to call this art, is like it is the result, or anything that happens in any piece is the result of somebody's decision making, right? And so whether this was Koji Igarashi, who said, I want there to be a confession booth. Is that what you call it, a booth? I'm not a Catholic. That's something that it's kind of knowledge that I never received. Oh God. And here I am just searching for one specific power-up. I always feel bad about killing Hunting Girl. I feel like she doesn't deserve it. She's like some sort of ghost. But that is the game. Anyway, I love that they included that, because they could have very easily not included that, and it wouldn't have been that severe of a difference. I mean, a version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night without the confession booth. Well, it's kind of like, to use an actual real-world example, it's like how in the PlayStation version we don't lose that much by not having the garden out front that we do in this version of the game. But it is kind of nice to have it. Now it's kind of useless in this version of the game. In the same way, and I don't think it adds that much aesthetically, the way that the confession booth does. Because what I really like about that is how the music changes. How there's just that one room that has that. It creates this kind of sanctuarial feel. Really just makes it feel out of place, unique, different from the rest of the game. And I compare that to, oh my God, can I get a goddamn jar to save my life? I compare that to, say, like in Super Mario 64, there's the secret aquarium level that's just out of place, out of time. And it really feels out of place and out of time. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I'm going very far away from where I intended to be. And that's because I genuinely don't know where I can get the one power-up that I'm looking for. It's item, I think, is actually the word. Is it item? Is it power-up? Whatever. I'm going to call it whatever the hell I want. Because ultimately, at this point, this is my video. And I think it also helps to illustrate the type of person that I am, the type of player that I am, by what phrases I use to refer to these things. That might be me talking out of my ass, though. Regardless, I think of that I think the phrase I believe is maximalism. This idea that you throw a lot of stuff at the wall, and it's not always going to work. There's a lot of stuff from this era particularly, and I'm sure there are other works from outside of that era. Maybe it's just something about the mid-1990s. I think of Magnolia. I think of that scene in Magnolia where they all kind of sing along to that Amy Mann song, and that really affects me. That's that scene, as bizarre as that scene is, as almost like jarring and out of place as that scene may seem. My goodness, where the hell am I even? What am I doing with my life here? I don't even care where this leads me. But it's not a completely different movie. The movie could function without it. Maybe to some it would be a better. Oh, here I am with Garden, I just mentioned. Skeleton breeder. There's like a dog there. But that's one of the things that I'm kind of coming to realize I love about Symphony of the Night, is that it's let's kill this tree there. Human face tree. I hate the human face tree. Honestly, I think before I had the opportunity to play the Saturn version, never knew the human face tree. I'm perfectly fine if I had lived my entire life without it. So maybe to some extent, now maybe later on in my life, I'll come back and say, man, wasn't that crazy actually the Saturn version, because you have the opportunity to go into this kind of pointless area where there really isn't, there's no bosses, there's just a human face tree. And I don't have the soul of the bat yet. So I can't really get up to any other parts of that that room, but anyway, that's one of the things I like about this game, is that there are just those little extra touches that maybe on an objective level don't increase the quality of it. If I was putting, this on a scale of, 1 to 10, I don't know if it relates to the classic interplay between, isn't it that the question of our time, right? Gameplay versus graphics, right? Where does that fit? Where does the confession booth fit in that duality on either side of that coin? Maybe I need to redo this. I don't have that much space on this camera left. We're probably just going to run this to the end of the camera. I didn't think this was going to take that long. I didn't think I was going to go through the entire castle in search of one measly power-up. I'm pretty sure it's not even in this room up here. I'm pretty sure you can't get it out of the... I know you can get it from somewhere in this area. I can't even get up there. So, never mind. We got the knife. Maybe that's something that illustrates, as much as I love this game, as well as I know this game, I don't know it in and out. I don't know where which lamps give the player what. Anyway, so there was some point I was trying to make about that room with the shield rod in it, and I do hope to get back to the room with the shield rod in it at some point, but if I don't, I'm not going to lose sleep over it necessarily. Because I ended up making a point about the maximalism of this game, and of course I just got the same thing that I just had. So, what the hell's what's a boy supposed to do? Billy Corgan. It's a terribly sincere, sad song. There we go. Okay, now where are we? I think all I have to do now is make it up those steps, then I can get through. Just kind of, and loop-de-doop back. I think right about there is where we want to be. So, okay. So we're cooking with gas. And we've replenished the number of hearts that we have. So that actually, ultimately, this ended up being a good decision in the long run. So, yeah, I love this game. I'm thinking also of on the outer wall, right at the bottom of the outer wall, you can get, there's that, I think you climb down, and there's just like a telescope, there's like a spyglass that you can use, and you see a fisherman down in the water. Why is that in there? Does that add anything? Yeah, it adds a little spyglass you can look through to see a fisherman in the water. Does that need to be there? Probably not, but I'd be sad if it wasn't. Those are the small things that really make this game what it is, and maybe that's part of my... I don't play a lot of games anymore. And so I can't really say what the state of modern games are, or is really, what the state is. Whether or not modern big budget games have those. I thought, and I played through Bloodstained so long ago, and honestly so distractedly. I don't think I appreciated that game. Oh gosh. I just don't want to fight the puppet sword. We're just going to get past the puppet sword. Saturn version, man, it loves slowing down. I'll say that. Oh yeah, I should comment on that. Interesting experience using the Saturn version. Oh, because I've only ever played the PlayStation and then the Xbox 360 port of this game in my actual life. So, okay, well here we are back where I wanted the entire video basically more or less to be, but now to the original point here. This is a particularly interesting room because it is a room that I really want to get to the end of, because I find that using the shield rod is, I think that's one of the best weapons to have in the game, and if I'm going to play this game, I want to do it right. Oh, fuck. Now that's why I wanted to have the jars. And I'm just going to call them the jars. Now, the problem with Armor Lord here is that he makes the fire that goes all the way to the end of the hallway, no matter where you're standing. Problem with the bone guys, bone muskets, is that they shoot at you from off screen, and they actually do a fair amount of damage. Oh my god, just please get them. There we go. Okay. Now, I think it's not like smooth sailing from here, because we still have these bone muskets. But these guys go out in like one hit, and that feels really good when they go down. Okay, well, I had a point I was going to make there, which is that when I most recently played this, which was a couple of days ago, I basically just like damage boosted my way to the end of this hallway, and then got everybody from behind. And that was better than trying to do it like slow and steady, kind of the more honorable way, facing everybody right to the front and not taking intentional damage. Like I just did. And the thing I kind of wanted to happen in this video is for me to have died or had a difficult time trying to do it like the honorable, sincere, straightforward, face forward method that I just took to getting the shield rod. So I could make this point that sometimes you don't want to be overly meticulous. Sometimes you have to go along for the ride. But in this case, being overly meticulous and being thorough and preparing and going throughout the entire castle in search of the one thing that I knew I would need to complete this actually ended up working out for me. So, à la fin du jour, I kind of think we got to the point there. So, yeah, I didn't know, see, now I kind of lied to you there at the beginning when I said I didn't know what the point I was trying to make was. Because, actually I think that was in a prior draft of this video that I said I didn't know what the point I was trying to make was. Because I had a sense of what that point was, I just didn't really know how to articulate it. And the reality just kind of didn't play out in the way that I needed it to for that point to be made in the way that I wanted it to be made. And we found a different point entirely. So I guess maybe the real, as a sort of a final summation here of what we learned from this video is, number one, I like all of the little extra bits that they put into this game. Right, I think all that extra texture that they add to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, things like the confession booth and the telescope, where you look on the little the fisherman, and you got his music, things like that. The extra garden, I guess, maybe not. We'll see how I feel in a couple of years when I have the ability to come back to this like it's returning home, the way that I do every year when I play this game, because it does feel like I'm kind of returning back to a place that I know well. Which is, there's sort of an irony to that too, isn't that what Maria Renard says is her trouble? She can't trust her memories here, and I as the player can and do, and maybe that's the experience of playing the Saturn game here, is that to some extent I also can't trust my memories, because in the PlayStation version that I know so well, there is not a not random really, there's not a extra haunted thing, graveyard, whatever, in the middle of the castle between the marble gallery and the catacombs, or the caves beneath the castle, with the oarsmen, where you can level up unrealistically and make the game really easy for its first couple of hours. Because that's not in my memories, because that literally wasn't there. to some extent I can relate to Maria in that sense. Other things, it is kind of interesting to play the Saturn version. If you've never played the Saturn version, you might consider playing the Saturn version. And then the third thing is that you can, I guess the first point, oh damn it, the first point of two is that really the point that ended up winning out in practice was that it is better, rather than by damage boosting and just kind of riding the wave of wherever life takes you, rather than doing that, it is good to actually meticulously plan. It is good to go find what you know that you need to complete something in the most, even if it is a little bit tedious and a little bit frustrating and stressful, doing it right, taking the extra precautions and steps to make sure that you're doing it right is ultimately what will lead you to the outcome you want. And then after that point, because the prior time that I played this on the PlayStation version, which was about 3 days ago, I just did that, what I was saying, kind of surfed it. I damage boosted my way to the end there, and it ended up working out all right. Because both of those points ultimately were truthful in the end, I guess it is, sometimes things go one way, sometimes things go another way. Which that's really not insight. What I'm saying is that sometimes you need to be meticulous, sometimes you gotta ride it. You gotta ride the wave, baby. And it just depends on the way it breaks, and ultimately it will probably work out fine for you, whatever you do. It's just gonna take some trial and error to know what is really, the most perfect option there. And then after that, there was the fact that both of those things ended up being true. I think that also, maybe the fact that I lied to you a little bit about whether, did I lie to you? I don't know. I think of this recitation point, we've kind of got all the ideas here. I think we've kind of come to a conclusion. Now, what does this say about life? Well, I think I just got into what it said about life. What did I learn from this that I can apply to other things in my day-to-day? So, for example, today I went to the grocery store and I didn't make a list, and the things I left with were not enough for me to be sustained for multiple days with. I'm going to have to go back to the store in a couple of days. However, maybe I just didn't really need to take that meticulous of a trip to the grocery store today. That could be the equivalent of damage boosting my way. And now I'm just playing the game. I think I could have cut this video off. In fact, I probably should. But I'm waiting. There was something so nice about the fact that I just came to a conclusion there. I really did. Because really it's a three-pronged conclusion. It is good. It is best to be meticulous. However, in other situations, so prong one, it is best to be meticulous. However, prong two is that in other situations, it may be best to throw caution to the wind